perfect. Oh, on the inside, she's already perfect. But on the outside, maybe some plastic surgery. So this is from second graders about their moms. Why did your mom marry your dad? She got too old to do anything else, and my grandma said, Mom didn't have her thinking cap on. That's a quote from a mom right there, see? Who's the boss at your house? I guess Mom is, but only because she has a lot more to do than Dad. That ain't funny. So I heard about the mother who was sick in bed, so her little daughter decided to be her nurse. She brings Mom a pillow and a magazine, and then showed up with some tea. Mother took a sip. Wow, I didn't know you knew how to make tea. I learned from watching you, Mom. I put water in the kettle. I put tea bags in the water. I strained the tea in your cup. However, I couldn't find the normal strainer, so I just used a fly swatter. Mom says, you used what? Oh, don't worry, Mom. I didn't use the new one. I just used the old one. Happy Mother's Day, ladies. How fun is that? The Gospel of John, chapter 6, is a wonderful story that every single person in here knows this story. And it's so familiar that I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to try to take a different angle on it. And, all Scripture's given by God. It's all inspired. There's only one. Andrew, Simon's brother, saith unto him, there's a lad here, which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. But what are they among so many? And Jesus said, make the men sit down. Now, there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down in numbers of about 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed it to the disciples, and the disciples to them, and they sat down, and likewise all the fishes as much as they would. They were filled. He said unto his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost. Verse 13, therefore they gathered them together and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves, which remained over and above unto them that had eaten. The feeding of the 5,000 is no mystery. The feeding of the 5,000 is a miracle. The feeding of the 5,000 is a story that we've heard since we was in vacation Bible school, in Sunday school, church camp. Preachers preach on it. And so we understand a little bit about this familiar story. It's just a familiar story. In the story, Jesus asked Philip about buying food to feed them in verse 5. That's familiar. Andrew spoke out and spoke up in verse 9, and he says, well, there's a lad over here. We've heard about the lad. We've heard about the sack lunch. We've heard about the fishes. We've heard about the loaves. We've heard about it. All familiar parts of this story. The lad had 5 loaves and 2 fishes. We've all heard, however, about how 5,000 men were there hungry. We've heard about those 5,000 men. We've also heard preachers say wherever there's 5,000 men, there's probably 5,000 women. And where there's 5,000 men and women, there's probably 10,000 children. We've all heard that. As a matter of fact, the real Bible scholars look at these stories and they estimate, they're Bible scholars, so they estimate there could have been, on that day, on this miracle, could have been 20 to 25,000 people there that was fed. We've heard about it. We've heard about the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000. We've heard about the lad. We've heard about the fishes. We've heard about the loaves. We've heard about the 5,000 men. We've heard about the estimation of all the people. We've heard about the leftovers. We've heard many parts of the story. It's all so familiar to us. We've heard about the miracles. We've heard about Philip. We've heard about Andrew. We've heard about the lad. We've heard about the lunch. We've heard about the fishes. We've heard about the loaves. We've heard about the 5,000. We've heard about the disciples. We've heard about the Savior who did the miracle. We've heard about the 12 baskets left over. We've heard about the fragments. Over and over, we've heard about that. In these verses, through 1 through 13, in the Gospel of John, chapter 6, familiar verses. We've heard about all that, but I really want to look at it, and this morning on this Mother's Day, I really feel like there's something that's been left out. I think that the story's great as it is, not trying to add to or take away, but there's definitely something left out. So today on May the 9th, 2021, Happy Mother's Day. You see, I'll never forget the joy that overwhelmed me when I found out for the very first time I was going to be a dad for the first time. I remember that day. Wonderful day. Cheryl and I have been married for 7 years. 7 years we've been married and no children. And God finally blessed us, blessed our marriage, blessed our home, blessed us with our first pregnancy. Cheryl ate all kind of crazy stuff, and I was morning sickness every morning. I'm just telling you. I was thrilled. I'm telling you, I was so thrilled when I got the news that I was going to be a dad in 7 years. I was so thrilled. I went and told all my buddies. I told all my buddies, man, you ain't going to believe it. Man, I'm fixing to be a daddy. Hey, you're not going to believe I'm fixing to be a father. Man, I'm fixing to be a dad. Can you believe it? And my buddies would say, well, you know what they say about that, don't you? And I go, no, what do they say about that? And they said, it takes a real man to have a boy. That's my buddies for you. And I'm quick-witted, and I talk fast according to Reuben. And I said, well, it takes a good-looking one to have a girl. So I just was going to cover both bases. You know, either I was going to be a real man with a beefy here, or I was going to be a good-looking one. And God gave me, in the span of that first baby, after waiting 7 months, or 7 years, we got that boy, Ronald Truett Bradford, had 1,000,000 kisses before he was a day old. I came home one day, he's 8 months old, Cheryl's rocking him in her arms, she's crying. I walked in there, she said, I hate you. I said, you hate who? I hate you. I went to the doctor. They had my 8-month-old baby right there in her arms. And she said, I went to the doctor today. And I said, you got the flu or something? She said, I got the 9-month flu and I hate you. In the story here, we've heard about the boy. We've heard about the sacrifice. We've heard about the lad. We've heard about the fishes. We've heard about the loaves. But the question is, who prepared and provided the lunch? I'm here to tell you, it's just my version, it's my application. I want to talk to me today. I want to talk to me and you today. And many times on Mother's Day or Father's Day, we talk about some great mother or some great father. Nothing wrong with that. I've done that many times. Today I want to talk about us as children. And I want us to see, are we appreciative? Are we thankful? Are we grateful for our moms and our dads who simply did what this last parents did? They're behind the scenes. They're never mentioned. They never come up. And I just want us to think about the parents. I want to talk about the mom and dad. I want to talk about the lad who's the hero in the story. The lad who always gets all the accolades. The lad who always gets all the praise and his name's mentioned. And the parents' name's never mentioned. I just want to say, look, hey, I'm just telling you from my viewpoint that it was the parents. I want to tell you from my viewpoint it was a mama. I want to tell you from my viewpoint I want to tell you some parents behind the scenes that allowed this boy to do what this boy did, and allowed this boy didn't catch the fish, this boy didn't go clean the fish, this boy didn't cook the fish, this boy didn't go make the bread, this boy didn't cook the bread in an outdoor oven or however they cooked it in that day. No. Hey, somebody behind the scenes did that. Somebody behind the scenes did something for that boy that you as a dad and me as a dad and you as a mom and my wife and a dad. Now maybe you're here today like me. I never had a dad. I got a biological dad. My mom and dad were divorced when I was young, and I had a couple of stepdads, but I really never had a dad. I never had anybody take me fishing. Never had anybody take me hunting. I never had anybody to teach me how to sharpen the blade on a lawnmower. I never had a dad to show me how to change the oil in a lawnmower on a car. I had a mom. Now, my mom would take me to the beauty shop with her, and I'd sit there while she's getting her hair done. My mom would take me to the thrift shop while she shopped for us. My mom would take me and my 2 sisters to places like that. I never had a dad to do those kinds of things. And I'm here to tell you that somebody behind the scenes in your life, somebody behind the scenes in the background, hey, they did their best. My mom did her best. God wanted me to have a mom and dad. God wants people to have mom and dad. It's God's plan. And sometimes it just don't work out. It sure didn't work out for me. But hey, I had a mom that did what she could to provide me a life, to provide me a raising so that I could maybe be something someday. Now in our Bible story here in John chapter 6, this little boy has been preached time and time again as the hero of the story. Now, I don't mind someone calling him the hero, but in my book, in my eyes, in my reading, in my study, I don't think he deserves to be the hero. I think his mom and dad deserve that. That is my humble but accurate opinion. I'm just telling you, all right? I think the parents are the real heroes in the story. I think mom and dad are the real heroes in this story here in the Gospel of John. You see, I think these two people, they're the ones that provided, they're the ones that prepared the lunch for this boy, and then God used it, through a disciple used it, and God used it, and when God blessed it and thanked it and began to break it, the miracle took place. And so we talk about the lad, we talk about all he did, we talk about the sacrifice, we talk about his gift, we talk about his generosity, we talk about his kindness, and hey, I'll give that all to him. Somebody prepared and somebody provided the lunch. The lunch. Now, today in our day, and probably for the last 20 years or maybe more, it seems like parents are forgotten and our kids and our grandkids get all the praise. Young people seem to get most of all the attention today. Cameras flash. They kept so that we can capture those special moments. Open houses are held for, don't leave here and say the preacher don't like that kind of stuff. No, I'm for it. Gifts are bought, money sent. Kids get congratulations and they get applause. They get pomp and circumstance. I'm not against it. I just want to point out in the story. I want to point out in your story, in my story, that the real champion, the real hero, the worthy party are the two, or maybe the one parent who prepared and provided the lunch. That's what I get out of the story. I've been privileged to be a father of 2 children. I'm privileged to be an uncle of many nieces and nephews. I've got a record that I go above and beyond for my kids, for my nieces, for my nephews. Growing up, took them everywhere, did all this stuff for them. This week, I got invitations, graduate invitations to my first church out of seminary in 2010. Kids that were 10 years old in that church that I loved.